Hey, you guys. Welcome back to Level Up with Lori, the podcast. I'm so happy you're here this week. I'm trying out actually recording with video again so that I can upload to YouTube. And sometimes it feels just so strange because I'm looking at myself as though I'm doing a live, but I know I'm doing an episode. And oftentimes when I'm doing an episode, I'm ranting and raving and making faces and moving my hands all weird. And it's just like a little bit different than I would necessarily do a live video. But anyways, how are you today? I hope you're doing really, really well. And I hope that you are out there doing really, really good things. But not a but. That was a full statement. Anyways, you guys, welcome back to the episode. I have kind of a random topic today that I wanted to dig into that's kind of come from a couple random conversations that I've been having behind the scenes in my world with my clients, with people in different programs, all the things. And it is about priorities and setting those priorities, being intentional with those priorities, living into those priorities. And I want to just kind of have an off the cuff conversation about what this actually looks like in practice inside of our lives, because I think sometimes we can get really caught up in like feeling like we aren't like, okay, so if I prioritize this over here, that means I'm not doing this thing over here because I should always be living in this place. And so I want you to even like press pause on this episode and write down, if I asked you what are your top 5 priorities in your life, what would those be? And I think for me, it's really easy to do the first couple, right? Like my family, my kids are my priority. My husband is my priority. The life that we lead is our priority. But then we have to get kind of below the surface because those are things that are really top of mind. The people that we love, the situations that we love, having experiences with them that we love, of course, those are our priorities. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we live only for them. I know that's going to sound a little bit off because, of course, we live for them. But what else makes you tick? What else lights you up? And what else gets a top position in that list? For me, my business absolutely does. And I think as women, we're sometimes taught to feel shame around that. Like there's something wrong about with having your business as being a top priority. But what if my business actually matters in the world? What if and here's the thing, every single one of our businesses matter in the world because we matter as humans. We're worthy as humans. So the work that we put out there, the voice that we put out there, our place in this world, it matters. So you don't have to hit a certain level, you don't have to do a certain number of sales, you don't have to impact a certain number of people. It all matters. So stop trying to classify that your work matters to the world. It already does. But what if I can say to myself, yeah, like my work, and maybe it doesn't even need to matter to the world. Maybe it doesn't even need to have an impact ripple effect on the world. Maybe all it matters is that it matters to me and that I'm allowed to prioritize the things that make me happy, that bring me joy, that light me up, that like have an impact on my life. Maybe I don't need to justify that anymore. And so let's say my kids are a priority, my husband is a priority, my friends and family are a priority, my business is a priority, my health is a priority. That doesn't mean that those things get equal priority inside of every single day and every single second inside your life. There are going to be times in your life where you need to shift and prioritize certain things at different levels. But your priorities are going to help you make decisions and also help you let things go. So for instance, in that top 5, I didn't mention lawn care. Lawn care wasn't a massive priority in that list. And so if the choice becomes being like hanging out with my kids and watching a movie on a Sunday afternoon or mowing the lawn, then the choice seems simple, right? But to make that even a little bit more muddled, there are going to be some things in your life that you have to do that allow you to actually live for your priorities. For instance, for those of you that are out there working a 9 to 5, for those of you that are out there building a business, you have to do the work so that you can live your life. Even if that work doesn't necessarily feel like it hits your priority list, or if it hits lower than other things. So sometimes I'm going to be inside a season of my life or inside a moment of time where all of a sudden my priorities shift a little bit. It doesn't mean that I care about my family any less. It doesn't mean that I'm like a crap mom, crap wife, crap friend, whatever it is. It simply means that I'm over here prioritizing this thing because I want to, or because it allows me to live my life in a certain way. So if you're going to a 9 to 5 job, you can't just be like, you know what? My kids are always my priority and I need to stay home for them today. You got to go to work. That's just what you got to do, right? And I think that we make that really, really easy because that's like what society tells us to do, go to work, do the things. But when you're an entrepreneur, those lines become a lot more blurred where you can feel like you're spending more time inside of your business and it's taking away from the life you're building with your family and friends. And the truth is, as an entrepreneur, this is a really big seesaw effect, right? Like it's a very big struggle because we love the businesses that we're building. We love the lives that we are leading. We love the families that we're surrounded by. How do you fit it all in? Balance is a precarious word. It's this thing that like really has different meanings to different people. And for me, it never means that everything will be in perfect balance. It means that I get to decide every single day, how am I showing up today? What am I prioritizing today? And how is that like, how am I going to live my life inside of that priority? So I have a lot of clients that are like, but my business is taking away from my family. So maybe I need to let my business go. Okay. When you look ahead to the future, why are you doing your business, right? Like, and if it's just okay, because there's various reasons that we started business. Maybe you started this business because it was something that was a creative outlet for you. It's something that you love to do, and it just kind of gave you an expression, it gave you a purpose. So that when it comes push comes to shove, you're like, but my family is blah, 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 blah." Is it still giving you those things? Because my hope is that you are the number one factor in your priority list. And it's funny because even in the 5 things, I barely listed that. It's not top of mind for so many of us, but it should be. Your number one priority should be you. And not because it allows you to show up for anybody else in a better way, but just because you should show up for you every single day. You should you should take care of you above all else, just because we all should do that. And if we all do that, the world's a better place. So, or like if you're looking at your business and you're like, okay, but like it's taking me away too much from my family, so maybe I should let it go. Well, what if like your long-term vision, what if working your business today means that you can live a life of freedom and be able to plug into your family and be more accessible to your family more later? Is it worth the work that you're going to do today to build the life that you desire to lead tomorrow? Yes, as long as you continue to live the life that you desire today, right? Honestly, and the funny thing is that there's no clear cut answer on this. And maybe I'm just talking to you in circles, and kind of I am. But my hope is that I'm giving you food for thought. My hope is that I'm challenging you to ask yourself, am I showing up for my priorities every single day? And I want you to know that you get to have it all, that you get to build a business and have a family, that you get to have an incredible marriage and also carve out time for yourself, that you get to have friends and have time alone, right? Like you don't have to choose in this life, you get to have it all. And I think sometimes when we put things in a box and we tell ourselves, if I'm choosing this, then it means that I'm letting go of this. That's when we start doing actual harm to ourselves. The truth is, if you actually want to work your business is going to have to be up there in your top 5 on your priority list. Sometimes you're going to have to choose your business because it is bringing you closer to your other priorities as well. And because you are a priority on that list as well. Does that make sense? Does that help anybody out there? I hope that it does. Because I see this a lot. And I see this a lot when women are building businesses that their spouses aren't necessarily getting behind. So their spouses only necessarily see the downside of those businesses, right? They see the time that it takes away from the house. They see the time that it takes away from them. They see the time that it takes away from family, even though, like, Lord knows they're out there chopping wood or scrolling on their phone or spending time at work, whatever it is, with the same amount of time in which you're building this incredible thing that, but I would ask you if anybody has a challenging spouse like that. Have you actually been honest with your spouse that this is a priority to you and that you do have a long-term plan with it? But I do see a lot with with because I think there's a lot of times where when we actually lay out our priorities, when we actually put our businesses inside that priority and we say it out loud or we even just say it to ourselves, that we can feel a certain level of guilt. Like, oh my gosh, I'm a mom. My number one priority should always be my kids. Always, without a doubt. And truthfully, like the underlying factors, yeah, yes, of course they are. But yeah, not this second, right? This second, my priority is delivering this podcast episode to you, working on my business in a way that like serves my community, grows my community, gives back, and all those things. So right now, my number one priority isn't my kids. It's kind of like this week. So there's 2 days a week where my number two and number three have 6:30 a.m. practices. Wayne takes them to practice in the morning, and they don't make it in time. They don't make it back in time for the bus. So I drive them to school. Well, this week, number two had practice until later. He didn't get home till 8:45, so we went to bed at 9 p.m., which my kids literally go to bed between 7 and 7:30. So this is like a massive stretch for him. And he was exhausted. So I was like, I'll just drive them in the morning. And there was this moment in that morning because like by the time I drove them and by the time I got back, it was 9:15. Whereas they normally get on the bus at 7:30 and I can like do my thing, have my morning routine and all that starting at 7:30. And there was this moment where my kids were like, oh, can't you just drive us every day? We love it when you drive us. And I'm like, I really do love the time with them in that morning. But and am I available to do that? Yes, I am available to do that, right? I'm a work from home mom. But is that prioritizing me in the grand scheme of things when it's not really taking away from my kids' lives to get them on that bus at 7:30? I can do it on the days where it makes sense and where like they need to be their needs need to be prioritized, but I don't have to do it on every single day because they don't always have to be prioritized above me. Just because I'm a mom doesn't mean that everybody comes before me. It doesn't mean that my kids, would I lay down and die for my kids? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean that I have to, right? Like it doesn't mean that I have to in like that proverbial sense, like I'm getting like I have to do all the things just because it serves them more than it serves me. Right. So I would challenge you to take out a piece of paper and look at the priorities that you have and ask yourself if you're living inside of those. Are you doing justice to those priorities? And are you allowing those priorities to have ebb and flow inside of your life? Are you allowing some to rise to the surface when they need to? For instance, if you're in a season in your business, like Black Friday is around the corner. A lot of us need to prepare for Black Friday. A lot of us need to put more time and effort and energy into our businesses during Black Friday because it is a massive time of the year for business. And if we do that, the payoff is so big that it's worth that prioritization, right? Those are the ways that you look at what your day looks like and start to prioritize how you spend that time and prioritize like what season you are in. If it's a Sunday afternoon and you're like, there's not a lot kicking around in my business right now, anyways, take the damn afternoon off and prioritize your family, right? Or if you find yourself alone on one morning and you're like, oh, I'm just exhausted and I feel like I can't do anything right now. Like lay on that couch and watch a Hallmark movie and prioritize yourself. If we do that, if we learn to flow inside of the seasons of our lives and we allow days to be different and we allow ourselves to have multiple priorities in our life and we allow ourselves to honor those priorities, all of a sudden we're rising in our own power, right? We're really honoring the life that we're building and who we are as individuals and what we give a shit about. All right, you guys, thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. If you are binging your way through, I will see you in the next episode. If you're on YouTube, let me know because I haven't really started to build that channel yet, and I'd love to hear what you would like to see and hear on there. And if not, I will see you inside of the next episode. As always, if you're digging this content, tag me over on Instagram or Facebook, Ms. Lori Irvin. I will give you a shout back. Together, we are so much stronger, you guys. Love you tons. I'll talk to you in the next episode.